there's millions of people out there that do receive 2 checks from Social Security Administration, actually 3 checks. And then there's another place you can get some checks. So I'm going to talk about all that today. There's a bunch of people in my community already know that they're receiving 2 checks. Yes, you receive it in one direct deposit, but it's essentially from 2 different accounts. Might be yours and another account. So we're going to go over that today. And if you're good, if you're getting everything you're eligible for, entitled to, paid into Social Security, then awesome. That's beautiful. But if you're watching, then guess what? You're a member of our new community here. And the important thing is for you to reach out to those around you and help as many people as you can get those benefits. So if you're new to my channel, my name is Ed Weir. I ran the 3rd busiest Social Security office in the country. And now in my semi-retirement, I'm not great at technology, as you can see, but I know a little bit about Social Security. I ran the 3rd busiest Social Security office in the country, helped millions of people out with all things Social Security, retirement, survivor benefits, spouse benefits, disability, Medicare, Medicaid. So that's what we're doing here. And we have the best community in the country that helps people out. And the great thing about our community is, like the rest of the world out there that are attacking each other left and right and stuff like that, we all look after each other. So this is by far the best community, I would argue, and a bunch of other people would as well. Okay, so let's get right into it. So can you receive a couple, 2 or 3 or 4 Social Security checks? Yes, absolutely. And we're going to go into them one by one. And I apologize, I'm using kind of shortcuts, acronyms from Social Security to kind of make it a little bit more organized here. All right, but I'll explain each one of these. All right, so if you're receiving RIB, which is called retirement insurance benefits, just regular old retirement benefits because you turned 62 years old or 65 or 67 or 70 or whatever, retirement insurance benefits on your own record. That's what we're talking about. If you're receiving those benefits, you are receiving a check from your work history, okay? And if you're eligible for spouse benefits, you are receiving another check from another work record, another MBR. So you're on 2 MBRs, master beneficiary record. You're receiving a check from this account and another check from this account. Yes, they do consolidate it into one payment. You don't get the 2 full benefit amounts. One offsets the other, but we'll talk about that here in a little bit. There's politicians that every now and then get in and say, oh, there's so much fraud, waste, and abuse of Social Security. You've got people receiving checks from multiple different, Social Security numbers, and one Social Security number is paying out benefits to 2 or 3 or 4 people. Yes, that's called Social Security. And yes, that's what Congress passed for the past, since 1935, when they started spouse benefits and all the rest of it. And so if the politician who's in charge of making sure Social Security doesn't run out in the future doesn't know the very basics of Social Security, like Elon Musk didn't know the very basics of Social Security, he's not a politician, and he's gone. But politicians who are supposed to know better are in charge of making sure we continue to get our checks, and that's not good when they go out there and say all these crazy things that they don't understand. So anyway, but you will know. So maybe you can educate some of your politicians and say, okay, hey, buddy, you have no idea. Quite often they do, but they want to, they play, kind of, was it country dumb, I guess. Anyway, so you can receive retirement insurance benefits and spouse benefits, okay? And spouse benefits, you can receive what's called regular auxiliary spouse benefits. That is, you're currently married to the person, or divorced spouse benefits, or surviving spouse benefits, or independently entitled divorce spouse benefits, which is, I talked about several times. It's basically if your divorced ex, is not collecting Social Security benefits, but at least they're 62 years old, you've been divorced for 2 years, then you can collect benefits on that person's record, even if they aren't collecting benefits yet. It's called independently entitled divorced spouse benefits. So you can receive a check from your own record and one from your spouse's record, divorced spouse, deceased spouse, whatever the case may be. And I'm going to, on the very, very big caution on the bottom, I'm going to get to receiving retirement benefits and survivor benefits. A lot of people mess that up, and it really hurts them later on. So I'll talk about that, a little cautionary tale. Okay, so those are 2 checks. One offsets the other. So in terms of regular spouse benefits, not surviving spouse benefits, if you're receiving benefits on your own record, you can collect benefits on a spouse's record, divorced spouse's record, if your benefit amount is less than half of that person's record. And so you don't receive the two full checks, one offsets the other. Okay. Most of these, one offsets the other. Okay. So, but you're essentially receiving two checks, one from your record and then one from your spouse's or divorced spouse or deceased spouse's record. So it's two checks. They put it into one and you get one direct deposit. Okay. All right. So you can actually get three checks. This is retirement benefits on your own record. And you can also get the spouse benefits, whether it's, your current spouse or deceased spouse or divorced spouse, whatever the case may be. So you get those two checks and SSI. So you can actually get three checks. SSI is supplemental security income for you, the new people that are joining us to get today. SSI, supplemental security income. That's what Social Security, it's a welfare-based program the Social Security Administration administers. Social Security took that over in 1974. They just celebrated the 50th anniversary of taking that over. So it's supplemental security income. And the max you can receive on SSI is $967. Okay? This year in 2025, $967. If you're blind, you can receive a little bit more, but most people, $967. So how do you receive three checks? Let's say you're receiving retirement benefits, but you didn't pay very much into your life in the high 35 years, and you're getting a couple of $100 from retirement benefits, okay? You get a couple of $100 from retirement benefits, and then you're eligible for spouse benefits or divorce spouse benefits or surviving spouse benefits, whatever the case may be. Let's say that's your ex didn't work that much either. Let's say you get $200 from there. So you get $200 from your record, $200 from the spouse record, so that's only $400. So if you are disabled or you're 65 years or older, then you can get SSI. SSI you get based on disability or being aged, 65 and older. So if you're only getting $400 from these two other records, you can apply for SSI. If you're approved, you'll get a total of $967 minus those two. So you'll get $967 minus the $400. So you'll get $567 and then $400 from the other. So you'll get one check, two check, three checks. Okay. What about for disability benefits? If you're receiving Social Security disability benefits, anytime you file for disability benefits, they address, Social Security employees are supposed to address what we call both programs. Title II, which is SSDI. Before I became a manager, I was a Title II claim specialist. Title II claim specialist experts. They deal with retirement, survivor benefits, spouse benefits, Medicare. So if you're receiving SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, you can also receive spouse benefits, divorce spouse benefits, current spouse benefits, surviving spouse benefits. And here's one that a lot of people miss. A lot of people out there are suffering every single year, every single month, every single day because they're receiving disability benefits and they don't realize that they can also receive spouse benefits. And sometimes they do. They say, well, yes, I know if I file for spouse benefits or divorce spouse benefits, I'll get a couple of $100 more, but then I will be switched to spouse benefits and I will lose my disability benefits, which is fine. I'll get $200 more, but I'm only 60, 62 years old and I'm not eligible for Medicare until I'm 65. If I lose my disability, I'll lose my Medicare. 100% incorrect. So please, our community has reached out to everybody they know. If you're new here, this is your new job. This is your mission in life, to take this information and reach out to your community and reach out to them and say, hey, aren't you receiving disability benefits? Yeah, I'm receiving disability benefits. Weren't you married to someone that just recently passed away or turned 62 or whatever? Why don't you collect benefits on those records? Oh, I don't want to lose my Medicare. You won't lose your Medicare because you'll still have disability benefits. And then you'll just get the extra on top of that. And because you still have disability, you will still continue to get Medicare. Okay. So there's a lot of people that won't get that extra money because they think they'll lose Medicare, and that's 100% incorrect. So let's reach out to those people. So if you're receiving SSDI, you also can get SSI. Same type of situation. The max you can get on SSI is $967. So same situation. Let's say you receive $200 from SSDI, disability on your own record. You receive $200 from spouse benefits. That's $400. You can get another $567 from SSI. So you can, there's 3 checks, right? Again, it all comes in one check. Well, this one probably might not. You might get the SSDI and your spouse benefits on like the 3rd Wednesday or the 4th Wednesday or the 2nd Wednesday of the month, but your SSI payment might come the 1st or the 3rd. So actually those might be 2 different checks. So, and here's a big one. So here is basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kind of different checks, money coming in. Okay, same type of situation. SSDI, get your spouse benefits, you're getting your SSI, your max is $967, and then you can apply for Medicaid from the state. If you're receiving SSI, supplemental security income, you are what's called categorically eligible for SSI. So for Medicaid from the state. Because you have SSI, you're eligible for Medicaid from the state. So you apply for Medicaid from the state, and they put you in, if you get in the higher levels of Medicaid in the particular state, they put you in what's called the Medicare Savings Program, MSP. Oh, let me put the our thing up there. So the MSP, Medicare Savings Program, and that cuts you a check. Well, it actually roundabout cuts you a check, kind of. That pays for your $185 Medicare Part B premium. So one day you're having to pay $185 every month in Medicare, and the next month you don't have to pay $185 because the state is paying that for you. So you've got SSI $967, and you're no longer having that $185, so you're getting $185 extra every month. So it's a beautiful thing. And then LIS, you're also categorically eligible for LIS, which is called the low income subsidy. Most people know it as the extra help with prescription, the technical name, extra help with Medicare prescription drugs. And you get signed up for that essentially automatically if you're on SSI and Medicaid. If you're not, make sure you sign up. If you know anybody who's having a difficulty, paying the premiums and the co-insurance and all that kind of stuff for their prescription drugs, make sure they apply for this LIS, extra help with prescription drugs. Super, super, super easy. One of the easiest applications at Social Security. You sign up through Social Security. Super, super easy application. And hopefully they approve you, so you don't have to pay the premiums. You get a lot of help for co-insurance and co-pays and deductibles and all the rest of it. So that's a beautiful thing. A couple of years ago, the LIS, the extra help, saved people about $5,300. Less so now because they just changed the law in 2025. The max out of pocket now is $2,000 per year. So, but it still will help you out. Okay, so if you're receiving Medicaid and Medicare, you're also eligible for what's called a DSNP, Dual Special Needs Plan. And those are those Medicare Advantage plans. Those are sold by private companies. Sometimes they have those grocery cards. I just did a video yesterday on those grocery cards. They're kind of disappearing for 2026 for the most part, but there's another program starting that's not as generous. We've already got a lot of people on our live Q&A chat that said, yeah, they got their ANOC, their annual notice of change, and they had a grocery card, this year it was like $300 a month, and now it's, $75. We've got a few people that have got the same exact grocery card for next year, but most people I've seen so far is, they've cut the card completely out, or they've reduced it significantly. And even if you have it, because of the new regulation, you're going to have to jump through some more hoops. But whoever you sign up for your Medicare Advantage plan, they will reach out to you and make you go through all the interesting paperwork. Okay, here's a one thing I want to caution people. I always hated this when I worked at Social Security, having to break the news to people. If you've got a married couple, let's say, and the surviving spouse, let's say they were married, and The higher earning spouse was receiving $2,000 a month. The lower earning spouse was receiving $1,000 a month. So together they were receiving $3,000 a month. Okay. And then let's say the higher earning spouse passes away and the surviving spouse comes in. I've done this too many times, unfortunately. They come in and they heard that they will receive their spouse's check. Yes, that is correct. So they think, oh, I'll keep my check and I'll just get that check. So it'll still be $3,000. And so we can still pay the mortgage and food and yada, yada, yada. Sorry, one offsets the other. So you will continue, the surviving spouse will continue to get that $1,000. And yes, they will get the deceased spouse's $2,000, but it will be offset. So you get 1,000 on yours, you're entitled to 2,000, but 2,000 minus your own. So it leaves it, you're going to get $1,000 from your deceased spouse. So 1 month, the couple is getting $3,000 a month. The next month, the surviving spouse is only receiving $2,000 a month. And I always hated to do that, to tell people that, but unfortunately that is a reality. So you need to definitely reach out to people, your parents and grandparents and uncles and aunts and everybody, and say, hey, you probably heard that if something happens to, your husband or wife or whatever, that you'll receive that check. That is correct. But this is how it works out. And if the higher earning spouse, the lower earning spouse passes away, then yeah, the surviving spouse receives nothing. So if the lower earning spouse that was receiving $1,000 passes away, the higher earning spouse has a higher benefit amount, so they will get nothing. So they'll lose the $1,000. So it'll still be the same $2,000. And then they get that very, very embarrassing $255 lump sum death benefit, which has been $255 for decades and decades and decades. So it's unfortunate. All right. So if you're new, you are part of our community now, and you now have a mission. If you say, oh, I'm all good, I'm getting all the benefits, I'm good, I don't have overpayments, I'm going to file for disability, I get the spouse benefits, all that rest. If you're good, then you're good. Beautiful, awesome. Social Security treated you well. You did all the right things, but I'm sure there's someone around you that didn't. So let's reach out to those people and see if we can see if you can help. Be a hero in your community. Okay, let's get into some questions on all things. So if you got any questions, make sure you type them down in the chat here, and we'll spend the next 45 minutes answering any questions you have. Retired grip. I guess that's grip as in you work for the movie industry. On SSDI, when I start trial work period and after reporting my pay stubs on Social Security website, do I have to notify when I stop the 9 months of trial work period? Also, is the month worked or month paid count as trial work period month? Okay, so yeah, it's the actual month you work, but the trial work period, what retired grip is talking about is when you're receiving Social Security disability insurance, you are 100% allowed to work, but there's limitations. And let me go ahead and switch. So working and benefits. So you go onto my website, mygovexpert.com, or you can go on to the SSA website. I think the SSA website is a little bit more complicated to try to understand it. So you click on working and benefits and it gives you an idea. So what he's talking about here, she's talking about is the trial work period. So for 9 months, you can try to work, trial work period, and work as much as you want, make $1 billion a month, and it won't hurt your Social Security disability, because Social Security politicians, we as an American people, Congress, whatever, have said, hey, we would like for people to get off disability. And let's give them an opportunity to see if they're able to go back to work. And remember, it's 9 months, but they're not consecutive. So you can work a month and make over, and no problem. The next month you don't, but then 2 months later you work, and that's 2 months. And what is a trial work period? What triggers a trial work period is, this year it's $1,160. If you make over $1,160, that means that's a trial work period. If you make under $1,160, then no issue whatsoever. So yeah, you can continue for that 9 months Do you technically have to contact Social Security and tell them trial? Not necessarily. It's always good to keep in touch and everything. But if you go over the 1160 and you've triggered it, make sure you remember it. You don't have to do it every month to start off with. Maybe after 3, 4, 5, 6 months or so, then you contact them and say, hey, here's my pay stubs. I've put in 6 trial work period months already. I just want to let you all know. So that means I've done 6, and I've got 3 more. And then after you do those 3 other ones, then you move into what's called the extended period of eligibility, where you can continue to work, but any month you go over SGA, this is all complicated, right? I've got a calculator on my website, a free calculator, a cheat sheet and everything. But any month you go over the substantial gainful activity, which is this year, $1,620, then they're going to cut you off for that particular month. So there's that. The whole thing is complicated. It kind of makes sense once you dive into it. But one of the big reasons people get overpaid on disability benefits is because it is kind of complicated and it's hard to understand. And then people get in trouble and get overpayments, and yeah, it's a nightmare. As long as you understand it and stay within the parameters, then you should be good. So I'm a 60-year-old widow who recently retired from teaching with a pension. I was going to wait to apply on husband's record and mine later. Can't do that. Oh, wait. Okay, widow. Yes, you can. Have not yet, as I worried about the cap. Okay. So yeah, I've got a video question that's asking the same question. But yeah, because you said widow, you can apply. You can apply on the surviving spouse benefits. They call it surviving spouse. Widow, widower, same thing. So you can apply as a surviving spouse as early as 60 years old, not 62. So you apply for surviving spouse at 60. You don't touch your record when you hit 62. You just let it keep rolling and increasing, and wait, all the way till you're 70 if you want to. But the cap, yes, there is a cap, $23,400 this year in 2025. So you will have to stay under the cap all the way until you reach your full retirement age. So, and there is the full retirement. It's one of the confusing things. Social Security, there's exceptions on so much stuff. That's one of the reasons I do a live Q&A, because I talk about stuff and then people say, well, what about this case? Well, that's an exception. All right. So, but there is an exception for full retirement age for surviving spouse is a few months different earlier than regular full retirement age. But the full retirement age for working for the annual earnings limit is exactly the same. So that doesn't change. A lot of people don't know that there's different full retirement ages, one for survivor benefits, but in terms of working, it's the same as everybody else. So, and unfortunately, a lot of Social Security employees don't know the difference on that one, particularly the people that work at the front windows, the generalists. If you go to the back and actually talk to a Title II person, then yeah, hopefully they should know. Time travel. Who here has been diagnosed with early cataracts? If you don't want how many months or years before they really got bad, when I was 44 years old or something like that, early 40s, I got cataract. That's, growing up in Florida and, being pale skinned and living outside, your parents told you to go play on the highway or, stuff like that, that life. When I went in there for my surgery, the doctors said, everybody was, in their 70s and 60s and 70s. And so the doctor says, did I bring my pediatrician with me? So that tells you how unusual it was. Anyway, I can get on Medicare in a few more months so they could pay most of the surgery. Yes. Again, exceptions. Medicare doesn't cover vision, but it covers cataracts. And then if you need glasses because of some type of eye surgery, they do cover glasses if it's part of like a surgery type thing. Well, it's exceptions, right? Social Security, Medicare doesn't cover dental. Well, there's an exception. If you're in some type of accident, you've got had jaw surgery or something like that, then they cover the dental related to that jaw. So yeah, exceptions. So, and there's a great app. There's an app for that. Medicare, what's covered. So it's a great little app. So you can type it in there and you can say, okay, cataract surgery, how much? And it tells you, 80% and, all the rest of it. So it tells you if it's covered or not. So great little app. 65. Kathy is 65, working full-time. She had 2 different accidents and had surgery. Doctor has me out from 8/18 till November 4th. I have short-term disability insurance, but working with nonprofit medical dental. So if you're asking, so if you 65, working full-time, so you are still working, so you expect to go back to work. I think you're asking about Medicare perhaps, whether you should sign up. No, if you have health insurance from current work, so you're still considered currently working, that you need to contact your company and find out whether you're still technically on the books and you're receiving health care from current work, then no, you do not have to sign up for Medicare if you don't want to. Part B, save yourself $185. But what they will do is, let's say 2, 3, 4 years from now, you stop working and stop receiving health insurance from that work, then you will have to provide proof that you did have health insurance from work ever since you turned 65 in your particular case. So as long as your employer said, this period you're considered still employment. So 3 years down the line, we'll fill that form out, no problem whatsoever, and you won't get penalized. So no issue whatsoever. Frank, I have a question. Okay. I am a CS retiree. So CS is CSRS, Civil Service Retirement System. With the windfall elimination, I now receive Social Security benefits under my wife's record. I did pay into Social Security approximately $25,000. What happens with those funds? So you paid 20. So you worked predominantly for the government, but you did pay for however. If you didn't pay 10 years, then you're not insured. Then what happens to that money? That's the social part of Social Security. So goes to children who lost their parents, and so that's the social part. But remember, you did. Everybody, those 3% that work for government entities, the firefighters and the police officers and the teachers and the other civil servants and stuff, you did not pay the Social Security part of FICA, but you did pay the Medicare part of FICA. So you are insured for Medicare on your own record. So don't forget that. Let's see here. Melinda, I just got approved for SSDI. How long will it take for the back pay? It really depends on what level you got approved at. If it's an initial claim, then it stays within the office. It's relatively quickish. If you got approved at the administrative law judge phase, that 3rd phase, then it's going to take longer. And all of it takes too long because Social Security is so understaffed. Politicians want Social Security to fail so they can privatize it. So they're doing a bang-up job doing that. So reach out to your politicians if you're waiting too long. But if you used a lawyer, then it's going to take longer because they have to pay the lawyer the back pay, and once they do that, then they'll do the calculations and pay you what's after. So. Sally, still actively working at 65, but I'm planning to apply for my spouse benefits. Married more than 10 years. Will this be possible? Even I want to apply for my own benefits at 70. In your case, no, because your spouse is still out there alive and kicking. So you have to apply for benefits on your own record. You can't delay. So you apply for benefits on your own record, and then you can apply for spouse benefits. So before, there was a different system that ended in 2016 where you could do what you're talking about, but you can't do that anymore. So, staying married for financial convenience amicably. Both turned 64 this year. High earner working until 70, lower retiring next year. Remain married for survivor dollars. If you're, remaining married for survivor doesn't affect it whatsoever. I mean, except for that $255, the survivor benefits. For survivor benefits, you didn't have to be married 10 years unless you get a divorce. If you get a divorce, then person had to be married to that person for 10 years in order to get surviving divorce spouse benefits. But yeah, if you were married 10 years, then you want to get a divorce, whatever. It doesn't affect the amount of survivor benefits or anything like that. So if a person passes away while you're still married, the 10 years is not an issue. It's 9 months. You had to be married to the person at least 9 months. There are a couple of exceptions there in order to get those surviving spouse benefits. And remember, surviving spouse benefits start as early as 60 years old. But you're also talking about working till 70. So with 70, you're getting the max delayed retirement credits, that 8% extra every year. That doesn't go to current spouses or divorced spouses unless it's a surviving spouse situation. Those delayed retirement credits, that extra money for delayed retirements, it only goes to surviving spouses, not to any spouses that are still, if you're still alive, it doesn't go. You have to pass away for those delayed retirement credits to kick in. Surefire way to better ensure your specific question gets answered is to do a video. Yes, that is a fact. I love the videos. I've got about 6 or 7 videos today we'll go into and get those. I receive retirement Social Security. I've been told if I switch to disability Social Security, I would receive more. Yeah, generally. Depends how old you are. If you're considerably below your full retirement age, 62, 63, 64 even, yeah, what happens is, well, not only that, but it depends when they determine you became disabled. So if you're receiving retirement benefits on your own record, you filed at 62, 63, and then they determine you became disabled, then yeah, you'll get more. Because Social Security disability benefits is not reduced based on filing early. Your retirement benefits are. So if you're receiving benefits at 62, and then you're going to get a 30% reduction. If you're approved for disability, same month, you don't get any reduction. You get the full benefit amount. So yeah, if you switch to disability, you can't just automatically switch. You have to apply and go through the whole nightmare process and all that other kind of stuff. So Ed, I am so happy I got my appointment tomorrow with Chapter. I did receive my ANOC from U8 I hate mentioning company names. Hopefully they will give me some good news. Yeah. So you got your ANOC, you're doing the right thing. Make sure you check it. These health insurance companies hate when you do the right thing and spend a few minutes of your life talking, checking your plan and, talking to whoever helped you sign up for Medicare or reaching out to Chapter and saying, hey, here's my current plan. Is there anything better next year? Yeah, health insurance companies hate when you do that because then you'll get the best deal for you and they can't, automatically re-enroll you in your current plan. Your current plan might be the best one for 2026, but Chapter will let you know. And they'll say, hey, here's your plan, here's another plan, and here's the cost for this, and here's that, your doctor covered. And, quite often they say, oh, you're good. You don't have to do anything. Your current plan will automatically re-enroll January 1st and you're done. So talk to you next year. So that's a beautiful thing. But if not, then they'll tell you, hey, yeah, it looks like this plan might be the better one for you. And then you make that decision. I'm 65 on Social Security disability. I have an incurable disease. I only get $12.90 a month. Can I get more and how can I do it? Yeah, there's a lot of, if you're entitled to, as I talked about, surviving spouse benefits, make sure you get all those. $12.90 a month. It depends where you are. If you're in Texas or Alabama, then you might be out of luck, possibly, but Medicaid. If that's the only thing you're getting, make sure you sign up for Medicaid from the state. And, you're probably paying $185 a month for your Medicare Part B. Apply for Medicaid. If they put you at the higher levels, it's called QMB or Slim B or QI, then they will pay that Medicare savings program I was talking about. They will pay for your Part B Medicare. And then if you have Medicare and Medicaid, you'll be able to get one of those dual SNP plans, possibly, depends again to your level of Medicaid, and get some extra benefits there. So definitely check that out. And then remember, if you are going to set up, we are October 1st, Ari from Chapter is going to be here tomorrow and talk about all of the interesting changes for 2026 on all things Medicare. But if you're going to have an appointment, it doesn't matter who you talk to, but review your plan. Because remember, you paid. This is a thing a lot of people don't realize. You paid for someone to help you review your plan. Before we started, a lot of people are really stressed out. I didn't get my ANOC letter. I got my ANOC letter. I didn't understand it. I don't understand what's going to happen for 2026. Am I in the best plan? Am I not? It's so confusing. And that's the, by design, it's so confusing, unfortunately. But the good news is you already paid for someone to help you out. This is the good news. So you already paid for someone to help you out. And it's like, you pay for Uber Eats or something like that. You pay for the food. You want your food to be delivered, right? Hot and cold, and hopefully nobody took a bite out of it before they gave it to you, right? But you already paid for someone to help you review your plan. Your brother or nephew or high school buddy that, helps people with Medicare Advantage in your community. You already paid that person. How? All those decades you paid into Part A, your Medicare, you're paying the $185, tax money, it's already paid. It goes to the health insurance companies. And when you sign up for a particular health insurance company, they give a commission, just like any health, life insurance or auto insurance, they give a commission to the person that helps you out. And so you've already paid for that. It doesn't come from the health insurance company. It comes from you. So you already paid for whoever to help you out. You already paid for Chapter to help you out. So it's important that you get the best plan for you. And so there's no mistakes. Make sure you're prepared. So you have your current plan so you can compare. So the people can compare what you got with what's available. You have your providers ready. So get all this ready. Take a snapshot or a picture of this. So have your providers. If you want to keep a doctor, you got to have this doctor. You got to have this hospital. You got to have that clinic. Make sure you have that down. Have your prescriptions there ready. Your dosage, whether it's a tablet or a gel or whatever the case may be, have that ready so they can find the best prescription drugs and save you the most money. If you want to use a particular pharmacy, know the pharmacy's name and the address. If you have a particular priority that you got to keep this doctor, you got to get dental, you got to get vision, whatever the case may be, you got to keep the lowest, hospital per month per night. And then this season, I would have a little bit of patience, the sixth P, because it's going to be crazy. So, but you have until December 7th. Don't wait until the last day. But yeah, you have between October 15th and December 7th to see if you need a new plan. And the new plan won't take effect until January 1st. So those are the 6 Ps, and you can call Chapter there, and they can help you out, or whoever. But whoever you talk to, make sure you're prepared, because you don't want to sign up for a plan and then January, February of next year, you're like, oh crap, I forgot to tell them I needed this prescription. I needed this doctor. And you go to the doctor's office. Oh, we don't take that plan. Oh, shoot, I should have told them I really needed that doctor. So yes, make sure you're prepared. So you get everything you paid for. You paid for everything that you're getting from these Medicare Advantage, Medicare Supplement, and Part D and all that. So Paula Ann, what's up, Paula? I'm now getting independently entitled divorce spouse benefits. Do I get that for the rest of my life? I'm on it now. I'm 61. Thank you. Ooh, I don't think you're getting it at 61 because you can't get that until you're 62. But yeah, if you are getting independently entitled divorce spouse benefits, then if you're eligible for those, you're eligible for life. Yeah. But you can only get those, and for those that I was talking about, independently entitled divorce spouse, so you get benefits on your own record. And here's what a lot of people, again, new people that have joined us today, here's your new mission: to go out there and talk to your friends, relatives, neighbors, and stuff, and say, hey, you're getting Social Security on your own record, right? Yeah. Okay. Weren't you married to someone for at least 10 years? Yeah, but isn't that person 62 years old? Yeah, that person's 62 years old. And they might say this. They might say, Yeah, but according to our kids that I still keep in contact with, he or she is not filed for benefits yet. They're going to wait until they're 67 years old, just to spite me probably because, you know, he still hates me or whatever the case may be. And you say, doesn't matter. Independently entitled divorced spouse benefits. Doesn't matter whether that person has filed for benefits. If they're at least 62 years old, and you've been divorced for 2 years, you can get benefits on that record, just like Paula Ann, but it has to be 62 years old. So, let's see. Alina Thornton, what's up? I'm still working. How am I automatically switched from survivor benefits to my own retirement? I thought I had to apply. Yes, if you're receiving survivor benefits, then you actually have to apply. There's a lot of people out there, again, that are receiving survivor benefits, and they've been receiving that since, let's say, 60 years old, and they didn't realize, hey, I never touched benefits on my own record, and my own record has been increasing. Let's say you're 70 years old now. Your benefits on your own record have been increasing for 10 years, and now your benefits on your own record is more. So you actually have to file. And if your benefits on your own record are more, and you've been receiving survivor benefits, Social Security is actually supposed to reach out to you. It's called a WIB-RIB letter. WIB is widow's insurance benefits, and RIB is, as I said, retirement insurance benefits. They're supposed to send you a letter, but yeah, often people don't get it. It's supposed to say, hey, you've been receiving survivor benefits for a while, but your benefits on your own record now is more. You need to come in and file an application. So yeah, you actually have to do that. You manually have to do that. It's not an automatic switch, unfortunately. If you're receiving spouse benefits from a current spouse or divorced spouse, even if you're receiving $1 from that person, and then that person passes away, then that's an automatic switch. So, but for your particular case, you actually have to do it. So call up Social Security and say, hey, how much more on my own record? And if you're under 70, you know, and you know, you're 67, 68, and you say, hey, how much more on my record? And they might say, oh, $50 more on your record. And you're like, well, if I wait a couple of more years, it might be like 150, right? And they'll say, yeah, about that. Do you want the extra 50 now, or do you want to wait a couple of years for the extra 150? So yeah, you make that decision. Ed, you are a blessing. Oh, thank you, Judy. And so are you, because you are going to go out there and help so many people in your community. That's why y'all are the best. I'm in South Carolina, so although the teacher with pension, we did pay into Social Security. We did. But will my pension count toward annual cap if retired under spousal at 60? Nope, it does not. Only earned income. So your pension before, well, in your case, you did pay into Social Security. The Social Security Fairness Act is for only those people that didn't pay into Social Security at that particular position. But no, in your case, no, only earned income. So pension doesn't count. You know, a inheritance doesn't count. It's only earned income from W-2 wages from work or net income from business. So. Oh, this question is for Bella. Bella, one of our awesome regulars here that I know have helped so many people out in her community and help people here every day by helping people get money. And she is awesome at being nice to people, let's say, motivating people. And yes, she is awesome. So. Dr. Ed, on my surgery for my mission, no, I didn't pay a penny for the surgery and the glasses. Oh, okay. Then on my mission. Oh, okay. So, one bright feather. I am trying to find the PIA amount for myself and my husband. On the Social Security website, I can find our taxes paid, but not a PIA. Do you just add the income received each year myself to get our PIA? Well, you can add it for the high 35 years and then do the, yeah, you don't want to, yeah. To do it manually is interesting. To find your PIA, they should really list it as the PIA on Social Security website. But your PIA is basically your benefit at your full retirement age. So you just look and it says at your full retirement age, you know, probably 67, here's how much your benefit is. That's your PIA, your primary insurance amount. That's what they base everything on. So you're trying to find out if you're eligible or if your husband is eligible for benefits on either record. So you do that by looking at the primary insurance amount, not your MBA. Sounds like One Bright Feather knows what she's talking about. You don't look at your MBA, which is your monthly benefit amount, which is what your current check is. You don't look at that. You look at your full benefit amount. If you had waited till your full retirement age, also known as your PIA. So if one is less than half of the other, then one of y'all might be able to get some money. And that's a beautiful thing. Let's see. Where can I find my Social Security calculates that no longer show online? I'm 63 and getting late ex-spouse benefits since I was 60. I don't want to wait till 70 to switch since I made much more income than he. Okay, yeah. So sometimes if you're already getting benefits, the online thing, there's a quirk in it. It doesn't show you, the full thing anymore. So if you want to find out the full benefit amount, the PIA, as we're just talking about, then yeah, you just need to contact Social Security and say, hey, what's my PIA? Yeah, how much, the best way to do it. So you're getting surviving spouse benefit since you were 60. So you're 63 now. So yeah, I just call up and say, or to get a definitive number, make sure there's no mistakes, then you schedule an appointment to file for retirement benefits on your own record. And that way you're talking to an expert, Title II claim specialist. And then you say, okay, I want to start my benefits this month. How much is it going to be? And then you say, do me a favor, change the MOE to this time next year. And they'll know you know what you're talking about. MOE is month of entitlement. So you say, change my MOE to next year, same month, October next year. And they'll change it. And then you'll say, and then you'll know that, oh, okay, if you receive retirement on your own record this year, you'll receive $1,200. If you wait until this time next year, you'll receive $1,300 or $1,400 or whatever the case may be. And that way you'll have a better idea of, how much it's going to increase and what you want to do. And then, but then you're just like, well, then I have to file. No, you don't. If you find the number and you say, oh, okay, I want to go ahead and start now, then you start. If you say, oh, it's going to be that much more next year, I'll wait. Then you just say, bye. And believe me, the Social Security employee, it's not like a car salesman. Oh my gosh, I lost the sale. No, they're going to okay, bye. I've got 400 other cases on my desk I need to get to. So have a great life. We'll see you next year. So don't be pressured. If they pressure you, yeah, they won't pressure you. But if they do, report them. They shouldn't. Yeah. You're a wealth of information. Thank you. You are welcome. I've been receiving SSDI since 2007, Carol asks, for mental illness. Will I get put in instead of living in an apartment with my son? I'm scared. Yeah, they don't really have those. So if you've got SSDI since 2007, remember, you've got Medicare. So after being on Social Security disability for 2 years, 24 months, you automatically get Medicare. So hopefully that's all set up. You got Medicare Part A. You're probably paying for your Part B for, the $185. If your income is kind of low, make sure you reach out to Medicaid, and you can get Medicaid and Medicare. And then again, they'll pay that $185. And since you have that, go get, use it. You paid for it. We paid for it. You paid for it. Every time you pay taxes, you're paying for that. So go out there, and mental issues are treated just like physical issues nowadays. So unfortunately, we're still in the dark ages in a lot of things, and hopefully with, AI and stuff, hopefully get an improvement on treatment for mental illnesses. But go out there and get the help. Definitely go out there and get the help. Yeah. And if you have any problems, make sure you come back here and we will help you out. And the rest of the team out there, Bella and Terracotta and Keep Smiling, Nona Dona and Penelope, all that, let's watch out for Carol. If she comes back, make sure if she has a question, make sure you make sure I see it, and so we can answer it. So we'll take care of you, Carol. Thank you. Okay. Let me get some new people here. Okay, I've been steering all my friends to your videos and chapter. Thank you. Oh, great. Perfect. So appreciate it. Rick, if my wife takes early Social Security at 64, not eligible till 67, she will have a penalty on her Social Security. Will that carry over to her survivor benefits penalty when I pass away? No. So it penalty, potato. It's when you file early, it's reduced. Pretty much anytime you file Social Security benefits early, it's reduced, except for, SSDI. So yeah, her benefits, you can call it a penalty, I guess, but it's reduced. But in terms of survivor benefits, if she is her full retirement age when that event happens, then she'll get the full benefit amount. So the only time she will get less survivor benefits is if she starts those benefits early. So, all right. Speaking of, someone said about video questions. So let's get in. I think today we've got a bunch of questions and I've got like 5 or 6 video questions. So I think we're going to go over an hour today, but hopefully y'all will be able to stick around, but I want to get to as many questions as possible here.
Hi. Hello. I wondered if taking my widow's or my husband's Social Security, and I am 62, but I want to retire from work. So I don't want to take my Social Security yet. Obviously, it could keep earning if I continue to sub or do some little work. How much can I make a year? And I would be getting my teacher's pension as well, so as his Social Security. So will that, will I have to count the pension in the amount I can make for the year? I've heard no, I don't have to do that. And I'm wondering if you think it's a good idea to go ahead and take his now, because I think I can switch to mine when I'm 67 or 72. That would be my other question.
Okay, perfect. A lot of questions there. Yes, not 72. That's one thing. Your benefits stop maxing out at 70 years old. So nobody take their benefits after 70 because you're going to be losing money. All right. So yeah, you can file for survivor benefits. Exactly. You're doing everything. Sounds like it's right. But the numbers, some people actually, depending on the numbers, you might take your benefits early, start your benefits early, and take and wait for survivor benefits. Wait for the survivor benefits to reach the max, which it will be at your full retirement age. Or yes, the other option is to take the survivor benefits and let your benefits on your own record increase. So just play with those numbers and then, go into Social Security and say, and given those two options, okay, what if I file survivor first and wait there? And what if I do retirement benefits and wait there? And then you can make that determination. And you don't have to be pressured to do it right there. You just tell the person to run the numbers for you. Make sure you don't talk to us. Ask them, are you a T2CS, a Title II of the Social Security Act, this claim specialist? If they say no, that's a bad way to put it. I'm just a CSR. CSRs are the hardest working people with Social Security, but they're generalists and they're the least paid. So, but if they say they're a CSR, then say, okay, thank you very much. I need to schedule an appointment with a Title II CS, and they'll give you those numbers. And don't feel like you're pressured to do it right there. Just say, okay, let me sit on it for about a week or so, and for a few days, and then I'll call you up and tell you which one I want to do. So yeah, don't feel pressured. But in terms of your benefit, no, your pension does not affect that because it's unearned income. The only thing that counts is wages from employment or net income from a business. So the other stuff doesn't count.
I have a question about disability. I have a daughter who just turned 18, but she has had chronic pain for 2 years, and we have gone to multiple different specialists and doctors who have not been able to find the exact diagnosis for it. Although we suspect they're missing something, obviously, because it's basically affected all her daily living skills. Standing in a shower, waiting for food to cook in a microwave, anything. She has a very difficult time just getting up. And so right now we have a generalized diagnosis, general gastro something, and I don't know if that's enough. I don't know if just our records from all of the different doctors would help, or if they would send us to their own doctor. And I'm wondering if it's even worth trying to apply for disability for her, because she cannot work, and at some point I'm not going to be able to support her.
Okay, 100%. Don't second guess the process. I'm Dr. Ed, but I'm not that kind of doctor. I have a PhD. I'm not a medical doctor. So I've taken disability claims where I scratch my head and it's like, wow, I thought that would have been approved, but I'm not a doctor. And the other ones I thought, wow, I thought it'd be denied. But again, I'm not a doctor. So apply. Start the process, because number one, the process takes forever. And don't worry about getting medical records. What happens is you apply for a disability, and as I mentioned, they will always address both programs. They will apply for you for SSI and SSDI. If you're not eligible for SSI because you don't have low income, low resources, then they'll close that one out and just continue on with the SSDI. Apply. Don't wait for medical records either. When you apply, they'll ask you all the questions, they'll go through the whole process, and then you'll sign or attest to an SSA 827, which is an authorization to release medical information, and there's your medical records right there. You authorize Social Security to reach out to whatever doctors and hospitals and clinics she goes to, and they will request all those medical records directly. So you don't have to provide anything. So don't call now. Run to the phone right now and call and schedule an appointment to apply. Or you can start the process online. You will be the representative payee. So it's basically 3 applications. It's the actual application itself. Then there's the medical part of it. And then, because it sounds like you're going to be the representative payee, as they call it, you will be the representative payee, and you're filing on that person's behalf. So run to the phone right now, run to the internet right now, and start the process. And if you want to, people always ask you, can you use a lawyer? You can use a lawyer if you want to. But the first couple of stages, pretty simple. If you want to pay, if you win, you want to pay the lawyer thousands and thousands of dollars, then more power to you. But the first stage or two, relatively easy. If you unfortunately have to reach the 3rd stage, then I would definitely get a lawyer. But yes, start the process. All right, let's see what else we have here.
So I'm sitting here watching your
scary
YouTube,
guy
channel, and I do have a question concerning spousal benefits. So if I am still working, I am 63 years old, my ex-husband, I'm pretty sure, is on disability. Do I have to be retired to draw from his Social Security, or can I still work and draw from his Social Security? Is there a deduction? I really don't understand how that works. Or if I make more money than he does, can I draw from him, or how does that work?
Okay. All right. So, yeah, if you're working, if you're under your full retirement age, you can work, but there's a limit, the $23,400. Any money you make over that, Social Security holds back $1 for every $2 you go over. So, and the first year you retire, there's called a monthly earnings limit. So you can make, $1 billion up until this month, but if you stop working or start reducing your income next month to under $1,950, you can start your benefits. Doesn't matter what you made before. But yeah, you're still married, sounds like. So you file for benefits on your own record. And then if your spouse is receiving benefits, then you file for benefits on his record. If he is not, then that whole independently entitled divorced spouse benefits doesn't apply unless you're actually divorced. That key part in there, divorced. If you're currently married, the other spouse has to be receiving benefits for you to receive benefits on that person's record. And yes, under your full retirement age, it's always reduced for filing early.
Hello, Dr. L. My name is Juana. I am 60 years old. I qualify for surviving divorce and I submit my application back in January. It was denied. Then I continue calling. I submit a review for my application. Finally, 2 weeks ago, it was approved. Then I just saw a check in my account. Based on my knowledge, I cannot earn no more than 25K this year. Because it was denied, I continue working. Now I already passed the amount I'm supposed to earn. So what should I do or what is gonna happen? How much money I have to return from the check that they sent me? I would
Okay. Yeah, there's a couple of things you can do. So yeah, that was wow. It sounds like probably you applied in January and you didn't have all your documentation, and the person didn't give you the opportunity to get it in time, or whatever the case may be. But um, anyway, so but your benefits started in January and they gave you a back pay. So yes, if you're going to make over 23,400 this year, then when Social Security finds out that you made over that amount, which they won't find out until next year, until you do your taxes and all that. So maybe February, March, April, they'll find out. And if you made over the 23,400, then they will send you a nasty gram that says, hey, you made, $10,000 over, you owe us $5,000. So what some people do, if it's only $1,000 or $2,000 over or something like that, then what people do is they say, oh, go ahead and, I'll just go ahead and let it ride. And then I'll get that nasty gram. And then you can set up a repayment plan, 0 interest. You can set it up to 60 months. So pay a little bit every month for 60 months until you pay back the overpayment. Again, 0 interest. That's what a lot of people do. And unfortunately, politicians hold that against Social Security because, the politicians, oh my gosh, Social Security is so terrible. They pay people incorrect payments all the time. Well, some people do that on purpose, rather than calling Social Security and stopping. They say, oh, I'll just go ahead and pay it later and get the 60-month, free money. And politicians hold that against Social Security. But anyway, so you can do that. Just wait for it to flesh out and then make a repayment plan, when you get the letter. Or you can withdraw your application. It's within 12 months. You can withdraw your application like it never happened. It's an SSA 561. You can say, I want to withdraw, but you have to pay all that money back. So all the money you received, once you pay it back, then everything is done and nothing. It's like it never happened. And then you can maybe reapply, and if you want to reapply starting, October, November, December, then you can say, okay, since now that I know I'm going to get benefits, I'll stay under the monthly limit. So if you pay all your money back and then the next day you file again and say, okay, restart my benefits starting October, I'm going to be under $1,950, then you can do that. Or you can just say, I'm still going to be over 1950 and definitely over the 23,400. So start my benefits in January. So you got a few options there. Those 2 options.
Hello, I'm John. My name is John, and I live in Miami. And I get Social Security retirement for $954. I also get SSI $33. I used to get 800, but they cut it down. So anyway, I'm asking. I heard you say on the TV that you get over 967, they'll cut your SSI. So I'm wondering, I get 954. Like I said, is the cola thing gonna increase mine and get my SSI cut? Cause I'm a hardship case. I had a stroke. That's why I talk like this. I got high blood pressure.
Okay. So yeah, so I mentioned SSI, the max you can get is $967. There's like a $20 exclusion. So that's why the numbers don't sound like they, sound correct there. But so what's happening with his is he's receiving SSI, but they offset it with that other money he receives. And again, there's a $20 exclusion. It sounds like that applies. But to answer your question, yeah, once they determine what the COLA is, that applies to everybody. And the SSI will go up. And then possibly that other pension you get will go up as well. So maybe you'll be in the same boat, only just a little bit more, 2, 3, 4, 5% more, whatever they determine the COLA to be. But they'll do that calculation automatically. Remember, because you're receiving even $1 from SSI, supplemental security income, you're categorically eligible to receive Medicaid from the state. So make sure you reach out to Medicaid and get that taken care of. But yeah, COLA applies to everybody.
And my question is, I'm 60% VA disabled, and what I'd like to know is, can I get Social Security disability, and how do I go about getting it started?
All right. So, veterans benefits do not affect Social Security benefits at all. So if you're getting disability benefits in the VA, no relevance to Social Security benefits. It actually, it's only a good thing, because if you have most of your medical records in the VA medical system, the Social Security disability medical system talks to the VA medical system a little bit quicker. So they're able to get those medical records quicker. So apply, file for disability benefits. If you're talking about SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, it sounds like you probably won't apply. You won't be eligible for the SSI because you're making too much possibly on the veterans, but they'll address that. And the SSDI doesn't affect your, the veterans doesn't affect your Social Security disability at all. So, and then after being on Social Security disability for 2 years, you will get Medicare automatically after being on 2 years. And, at that time, if you're receiving, TRICARE for life or whatever the case may be, then, you might want to think about the Part B. But if you don't sign up for Part B, then you'll get the penalty, but you've got some time to start worrying about that. Okay, Lynn, Priscilla, spousal benefits will not increase. Once you start that benefit, you are locked into that amount. Yes, pretty much any benefit, if there's a qualifier there. If you start receiving those benefits and you continue to receive those benefits, a lot of social media people out there saying, yeah, once you're reduced, you're always reduced. And not necessarily, but yeah, Lynn knows what she's talking about. Most people continue to get those benefits, but if you stop getting those benefits because you work and earn over the annual earnings limit or the monthly, whatever the case may be, then they will suspend that money, and then they will redetermine, once you hit your full retirement age, they'll recalculate those benefits because you didn't get your benefits for 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 months. So they're not going to reduce to you for 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, 10 months if you didn't get checks during that time. So what happens once you reach your full retirement age, they recalculate that. It's called the ARF, Adjusted Reduction Factor, and they adjust it when you hit your full retirement age, 100% automatic. So, and then COLA, it'll be increased, obviously. Yeah, and if spouse benefits won't increase, spouse benefits will, if your spouse continues to work and pay into more Social Security, then yeah, your benefits will increase in that way. But Lynn is, for the most part, yeah. So that is correct. Yeah, once you're reduced, it's always reduced except for those, 3 exceptions there. Evelyn, I'm 63, about to be 64. I'm receiving my Social Security, but not full benefits. When should I apply for Medicare, or do I have to, because I'm a disabled vet, do I qualify? Yeah, if you're receiving Social Security, then you qualify for Medicare at 65. So unless you're receiving disability benefits, If you're receiving disability benefits, then you start your benefits, you start your Medicare after being on disability for 2 years. But if you're on regular retirement benefits, yep, it starts at 65. And even if you're receiving VA, if you're receiving TRICARE for life, then you have to sign up for Part A, Part B. You don't have to sign up for anything else. Medicare Supplement, Medicare Advantage, you don't need if you have TRICARE for life. If you don't have TRICARE for life, you're just using the local VA clinic, hospital, something like that, you definitely need to consider signing up for, Part B. Part A is automatic, but you also sign up for Part B. But once you get 65, come on back. And if the system is still around at that time, if the government reopens at that time, we'll go through all your options. All right, we're way over time. You guys are awesome. I sure appreciate everything y'all do to support each other, and look out for those around you. Y'all take care, and please continue to take care of each other. Bye-bye.